So, Jake Paul has signed with the PFL, and that's honestly a big thing. The reason that it's a big thing is because Jake Paul is a big name. And if you are into the whole UFC, into MMA, all of the martial arts organizations, you know that sometimes the fighters don't really get paid that much. And that's something that Jake Paul has always been fighting against Dana White for. He's been giving him shit for the past years and trying to get that fighter advocacy of the pay, make sure they're getting paid the right amount. These are professional athletes, doing things that not everyone can do. People in the NFL, people in boxing are making millions and millions of dollars, but there's some UFC fighters who are still, having a hard time paying rent, having a hard time paying for food, for training. I forgot who it was, but somebody said that they know some people who are still sleeping in their gyms, and they're UFC fighters. I forgot where that was from. Somebody said it. Some UFC fighter said it. And if you really think about it, these guys are today's modern day gladiators, and they're getting treated like this. That's something that Jake Paul has always been saying that he wants to stand up against. That he wants to fight for fighters and make sure they're getting paid the right amount. Now, here he comes out today saying that he's going to be signing with the PFL. He's going to be the head of fighter advocacy. That's what his title is, and he's also a partner, I guess, in the PFL. And what he's saying is he's going to be there promoting himself, promoting PFL marketing, which we'll get back to that right now, in order to help fighters get paid what they're supposed to be paid in the PFL. Now, personally, I've never heard about the PFL. Oh, I've heard of it before, but I've never even watched it, not once. Today was the first time that I actually sat down and watched some of the PFL, and don't really yet understand how it works. I've seen some videos on how it works. It's actually like an in-season thing. There's point systems. If you win, you get 3 points. If you win in the first round, you get another 3 points, so 6 points. And you keep building up, and at the very, very end, somebody gets $1 million. 6 champions. So in every single division, bantamweight all the way to heavyweight, each champion will get $1 million at the end of the season in the finals. So there's the, in season, there's the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and then there's the finals, which is something that the UFC or almost any other MMA division or organization has never done. I've never seen it done before. So that's going to be something different, something that we're going to have to get used to. But it also brings us to interest because now that there's like this kind of tournament type thing, you're really seeing who's the best of the best. Because it's not really, oh, we're going to put this guy and this guy because they're going to make a lot of money. Oh, we're going to get this guy and this guy because they're going to bring in more views. There's going to be a higher pay-per-view. And it's going to be the same guys over and over and over again, not letting some of the lower guys who you don't regularly see get a chance to shine. I guess you would say you have to build yourself a big name, a big story, something to catch the audience attention. We saw Kobe Covington. Kobe Covington's a great fighter. You can have your opinions on him. I get it. It's a guy that's really hard to like. But in order for him to actually succeed and thrive in the UFC, you saw what he had to do. He had to call out the whole freaking nation of Brazil. Now, that's a big leap. In order to stay in the UFC, he said he was going to get cut from the UFC because he was known as a boring fighter. And for him to get cut, even though he's showing all, it's like if Demetrius Johnson was about to get cut, actually, because nobody was watching the flyweight division because there was nobody in the flyweight division, blah, 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 blah. The whole division was about to get cut. But could you imagine someone as great as Demetrius Johnson getting cut because he's a boring fighter? That's upsetting. It's honestly upsetting to some people. Even I would say it's upsetting to me. Like, Demetrius Johnson is one of those, like, higher ranked GOAT tier fighters that anyone can agree with. That statement right there, that he's one of the GOATs. And imagine he gets paid like $30,000 in a fight. You're talking about one of the greatest fighters of all time. Somebody that has done stuff in the octagon that you've never seen before. That beat so many records, that won so many championships, that is still winning championships. And he's not getting paid what he's worth. A lot of fighters have fought against that, and here's Jake Paul, who knows how to get money. He knows how to get an audience. He knows how to bring money to the table. He understands marketing. And here he is with the goal of trying to get the PFL to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fighting organizations ever. I feel like the UFC should be worried. Now, I'm not saying that the UFC is going to go bankrupt or whatever. Well, who knows? Dana White had one hell of a start of the year. The whole slapping his wife thing, people going against him because of the pay, Ariel Helwani smacking back at him, or slapping back, snapping back at him. And now here comes Jake Paul saying he's gonna make this organization the best that there ever was. That has this goal to one, compete as a UFC fighter or as a PFL fighter, and also to bring this organization up, make sure everyone's getting paid what they're supposed to get paid. And I think it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, he's doing this to get attention. Maybe he is, but at the end of the day, he's helping out a lot of people, and that's what he's trying to promote. That he's helping a lot of people. That he's trying to get them what they deserve, and not just ordinary people. These are professional MMA fighters, the best of the best. You do not want to get in front of these guys because they know exactly what they're doing. They've been training for so long. And we've seen Jake Paul in the past blow up on YouTube. What is it? 10 million YouTube that's something I forgot the words. Never done before. Like he knows how to bring an audience attention. He knows how to get those headlines. He knows how to promote himself. Remember with the Floyd Mayweather incident, he took his hat right away. Made so much money off of that. Took your hat. That whole thing was part of his plan. He said, I'm going to get my name on the news, even though my brother's going to be the one fighting him, just in case I get to fight him in the future. I'm going to take his hat. Oh, he got it back. He hit me, blah, 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 blah. There's one storyline. Oh, I'm going to make this even bigger. Boom. He gets it tattooed and makes merch off of that. Got your hat. This man is smart. Jake Paul's one of the smartest guys I've seen on social media. You know, him and his brother, they know how to do things. They're not just some kids from Ohio anymore. So for him to step up and take this organization and try to bring it up the way he's saying that he's going to, I believe him. I believe that by the end of 2023, the PFL can be like neck to neck with the UFC if it all goes to plan. Now, of course, Dana's not going to want to get that because he's going to be losing a lot of money, but hey, anything could happen. You know, Jake Paul has a goal, and we've seen him in the past. When he has a goal, he's going to get to it. Okay, so we got into the whole marketing thing. He's also starting a division in the PFL called the Super Fight Division. Now, the Super Fight Division, instead of it being people trying to get to the belt, trying to get to the, trying to get that gold around their waist, it's more for people who will bring in those big numbers. Let's just say Conor McGregor. Any fight that Conor McGregor has is automatically going to have those huge pay-per-view buys. If John Jones comes back, pay-per-view buys. Those elite superstars that everyone will remember right away. They can be gone for the longest of time, but everyone's going to be just as excited for them to come back than when they were there already, when they were active. Everyone's excited for that comeback. So here we are in the Super Fight division that Jake Paul is now creating, I guess, with the PFL. And if you win, or I don't even know if you win, I think if you compete, even if you fight in the Super Fight division, 50% of the pay-per-view buys is going to be going to the fighters. 50% to an MMA fighter, that's kind of unheard of. I'm telling you, these UFC fighters aren't getting paid all that much. They're not balling unless they're getting that like super fandom like Paddy Pimblett or Conor McGregor, attracting those numbers, promoting themselves as much as they can. It's stuff outside of the UFC. It's not even them doing what they're doing. It's doing stuff outside, going on YouTube, going on social media, getting these sponsorship deals. And with this, being established, now fighters can even wear the sponsors on theirs. Imagine how many sponsors are going to be contracting these fighters. Here's some money, promote our, we got fighters or boxers with Fashion Nova. Fashion Nova is going to pay them a lot. A whole bunch of different companies, their own companies that they can promote, get attraction into their own businesses, not even for somebody else. Well, along with somebody else. This is all sounding really, really good for fighters. And I like that. I like that it's going to help out these fighters get paid what they're supposed to. I think we can all agree on that. And sponsors, like on shorts, like you should be able to wear what you want. I get not gonna lie, the Venom shorts, they're fucking nice. But you also got to give the fighters some sort of freedom to sponsor themselves or promote themselves however they want to. Even if it's like one little thing. Oh, this is the class that I go to. This is the training center that I train at. This is the what's it called? The food companies that are helping me out in my training, blah, 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 getting himself getting themselves the help, the promotion, and also getting the people that work with them the promotion that they've been wanting to. I feel like it's something that we can implement. You shouldn't have to twist somebody's leg to promote yourself, you know? Um, I've been seeing, like, for example, Michael Chandler is a good example. Michael Chandler promotes himself a lot on Instagram, on YouTube. We see so many fighters. Daniel Cormier is on YouTube. Henry Cejudo's on YouTube. Sugar Sean O'Malley's on YouTube. Israel Adesanya's on YouTube. There's so many people going into these social media spaces because they need to get more money. And that's where the money is. That's how they promote themselves. That's how you get those viewers to go into the UFC. Because, okay, let's just say you don't watch UFC. All right? There's some big moments in the UFC. But if you've never got the opportunity to watch it on your social media, you're never going to hear about it. Let's be honest. No one's going to click to pay $89? $89 for a pay-per-view every single month. Eggs are $9 right now in the supermarkets. I'm pretty sure no one's gonna want to pay $98 for a UFC fight. I get it now. It's or $89 for a UFC pay-per-view. So even that, maybe that'll be different. Maybe knowing Jake Paul, he's gonna find some way around to get more people to watch the PFL. How is he gonna do it? Maybe a subscription instead of pay-per-view, lowering the pay-per-view costs, promoting it to his really, really big audience. He has a huge platform on different social media sites. So even that, he's going to get that traction right away. There's just no way that his plan is going to fail unless somebody gets in the way, not pointing any fingers, not going to say any names, unless somebody gets in the way and tries to disrupt that. That's the only way I see Jake Paul failing at this plan. Now let's move on to him saying that he's going to compete in the PFL. So not only is he the head, the head of fighter advocacy, for fighters pay, but he's also going to be a fighter himself. And a lot of people are speculating on whether or not he's even going to go into the octagon. If he's just saying this shit so that we can start watching the PFL and get more money, blah, 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 blah. But a lot of people are even doubting that he's not going to go in, that he's not going to step into the octagon. Why would he do that? It's Jake Paul. Like, Jake Paul is that dude that wants, if he says something, he's gonna fucking do it. He doesn't back down from shit like that. He's a wrestler from Ohio, Ohio is one of the toughest wrestling states that there is in the USA. They've seen the training, and we've seen Jake Paul, Logan Paul in their training before. They're pretty good wrestlers. And I'm pretty sure that every once in a while, Jake Paul was training his MMA. He wasn't just purely doing boxing, or maybe he was for a specified amount of time. He's just in that environment where you can't just learn one thing, And as a guy, like, men, let's just be honest. Would you want to just stick to boxing, or on the side every once in a while throw a little kick into the bag, practice some jiu-jitsu? Every guy wants to learn more and more and more because it's going to make them even better. Oh, also, it's 5:55 p.m. That's pretty cool. I just looked at the clock. It's going to make them even better. And it's fucking badass to learn all of these different martial arts. They're so much more versatile. So the fact that people are saying that Jake Paul isn't going to fight in the octagon is absurd to me. Knowing Jake Paul, he's going to get in that octagon, and this is just my assumption. He's going to get in the octagon and he's gonna surprise us. That's just my guess. This dude is gonna surprise the fuck out of all of us. He's gonna be doing some shit that we just didn't expect to do. And I mean, we saw in boxing, of course, he hasn't fought like super, super big boxers, and everyone gives him shit for it. I get it. But in those years that he's been boxing, you gotta say it's impressive. I know he's just a YouTuber fighting and blah 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 blah. I get it. Let's just simplify it down a little bit even more. He's a guy who used to be a wrestler in high school. He stopped training for a while, went into boxing, became really good at boxing in like 2 years, knocked out Tyron Woodley, who was literally the #1 ranked welterweight for the longest of time. Like, that dude, if you go back and watch some Tyron Woodley fights, you'll see this guy was a fucking badass. And the way he was portrayed in the boxing fights against Jake Paul, it made him kind of look like, oh, it's just some motherfucking UFC fighter. No, he wasn't a UFC fighter. He was a big time champion of the UFC. Let's get that shit clear. He wasn't just some average UFC fighter that people, no, have some respect for that guy's name. It's just Jake Paul looked great. He did great against these fighters that he's fighting. Against Anderson Silva, his most recent fight. It was a great fight. It wasn't just, if it was that easy, Anderson Silva would have finished him. Outside of the realm of MMA, Anderson Silva is a great boxer. So for Jake Paul to even last those rounds against Anderson Silva is impressive enough. It's like people were giving shit even to McGregor when he went against Floyd Mayweather. It's his first time in boxing, and he lasted those rounds against the greatest of all time in boxing. You know, you got to give some respect to the guy. It's easy to sit there and judge and point fingers and say who's at fault, who's the worst fighter in the world. But when you really take it into consideration, these dudes are doing things that not everyone can do. Not everyone can go into the boxing ring and knock out UFC fighters, to knock out the greatest UFC fighters. Anderson Silva, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. One of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. Let's just cross out the middleweight. UFC fighters of all time. Tyron Woodley, one of the best welterweights of all time. Let's just cross that out. Let's just cross welterweights off. One of the best UFC fighters of all time. We've seen. This guy was fucking great. And of course, there are some people that were better than him, that have a better legacy and all, blah, 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 blah. But again, you got to give respect where respect is due. So, can Jake Paul come into the PFL and do great? Yes, I 100% believe he could do great. He has that mindset. He's just been training over and over again since he was a kid. It's that same thing that him and his brother have, and they're just smart. They know how to play their cards, and they know what it takes. You know, that disciplines of what it takes to be great, to be at the top. They got into YouTube. They're super competitive guys. They know exactly what they need to do in order to beat their competition, and they did. Both of them did. Vine, they got to the top. YouTube, they got to the top. And anything that they do, they right away get to that top. They always find their way there. And I applaud you for that, dude. You guys should. And now to finish off this video, Jake Paul also called out Nate Diaz. Now, he had called him up before to a boxing match, and Nate Diaz said, yeah, I'm down. I'm about to get paid the biggest money that I've ever had, even if I've been a superstar in the UFC. He gets paid really, really well in the UFC. Like, he's making numbers in the UFC. He's one of the highest paid fighters in the UFC. I think, if I'm correct, maybe wrong, but he gets paid very, very well in the UFC. And for him to say, I'm about to fight this one boxing match and get the biggest bag that I've ever had, that's crazy, because Nate Diaz has been fighting in the UFC for the longest of time. I'm talking, like, at that level, at that experience, he should be getting paid a lot more. And I see how some people may say, oh, he has a record, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? We've seen it on paper. He beat Conor McGregor, and that's how he got that money. If he hadn't beat Conor McGregor, he wouldn't have been in the same position that he is now. And so Jake Paul went and called out Nate Diaz. He said, it's going to be a 2-fight deal, all right? Not just one, not just boxing. He's saying, we're going to fight in a boxing match, and then right after that, like 6 months later or something like that, we're going to fight in an MMA. So you're going to come into my world, I'm going to come into yours, and we're going to see who wins out of those two. That's going to be interesting in itself. I know if everyone's going to say, yeah, but Nate Diaz is old. Nate Diaz isn't even a worthy opponent. Blah, 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 blah. Just going to be easy win because, well, you know, always some excuse. I say, we just step back, let them do whatever they do, and form our opinions afterwards. Let's just enjoy the process. That's the thing with media nowadays, is that everyone jumps to conclusions and don't even give things a shot. For example, this is just random. The Mario movie. Who knows? Maybe the voice isn't gonna fit well. We saw like fucking 5 voice lines, dude. We haven't seen the full movie. You're gonna like it. You may love it. The voice may fit perfectly, but oh, it's not Mario. It's not Mario. We get it. But you have to give it a shot. It's the same thing with people. You have to give people a shot, because if they don't, you'll never see if they're in potential of greatness. And I feel like that's something that Jake Paul could be. Great. And that's something that he strives to be. Great. So far, I think he's on the road, and I feel like we should all give him the chance. Nothing has happened yet, you know? It's something new. What can go wrong, you know? I feel like this could be good for Jake Paul. This could be good for MMA fighters, like the people who are actually supposed to be getting paid. Like the whole roster, everything there for MMA fans, because it's gonna be one, new rules, two, more MMA, three, more fighters to watch. I love watching UFC, but there are times where I'm like, what should I watch next? I've seen this video, I've seen this video, I've seen this video. This is gonna open a brand new organization for everyone to watch that not everyone is acquainted with. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are excited too. There's a lot of plans in 2023 so far. I'm very excited. I'm telling you, this is gonna be great. I hope for nothing but the best from this plan, from this idea. I hope everything goes great. I'm gonna be watching the PFL. I'm gonna be doing some homework, trying to get caught up on how everything worked in the PFL, some past fights, the history of the PFL, because I'm in. I'm sold. I want to see the PFL. I want to see Jake Paul market this organization and bring it to what he's expecting is greatness. You know, if someone is just thinking about being great, wouldn't you just want to be a part of it? You know? Oh, this is going to be a great idea. You see the enthusiasm, you see the passion behind it. I'd rather be the guy that's wrong, that tried their best, that even if it didn't go the way, even if this fails at the very end, it had the potential of being something great. And if I was there along the ride, I just saw it happen. I was there, consistently being there, watching the PFL. What harm could be done to me? I've got more stuff to talk about. I've got more things that I love that I can be more excited about. My passion just grows. MMA's fighters' passion just grows. And that's all I see from this. So I hope you guys are excited. I'm just as excited. Yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Jake Paul, I wish you nothing but the best, man. Hopefully this goes your way. I'm expecting big things. That's all I can expect and hope for. I hope you guys can too. I'll see you guys all in the next video. If you guys happen to enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe for more UFC, I guess now PFL content, MMA content, because who doesn't love MMA? Not just UFC. But this is going to be very different. But sometimes different can be good. I'll see you guys on the next video. See ya.